you may notice this is a slight change from my normal lighting venue. But, see, problem for me is I can't sleep. I've tried, but, I can't. It's one of those nights where I've got stuff on my mind, so I figure maybe if I do this and get it off my mind, I'll sleep. So, here's what we're going to talk about. You'll remember that I did a series on fanboys and fangirls, and while I know so many of you people did like those videos, unfortunately they're gone from my hard drive, as are several of my Dragon Ball Evolution myth videos, so on and so forth. I had been hoping that people were going to be downloading those and putting them up on this archive that popped up, which is why I didn't bother, but apparently no one did. I don't know what's up with that channel at this point. Kind of pointless now, it's a little late, but whatever. I still have some videos that I can re-up, but anyway. I talked about fanboys, I talked about fangirls, the difference between them. There's something, though, that I never got to touch on, and I really want to. First of all, I might go more into fangirls in the future, because as someone pointed out, I really didn't fully cover the depth of some of their depravity. Now, I know someone's going to say, yeah, sure, fanboys can be pretty depraved too, and yeah, that's because some of them are perverts. I'm talking about the fangirls and some of the stuff that they do. Some of the stuff they say about certain characters, some of the stuff that they refuse to see, so on and so forth. Which does, to a point, tie into what I'm going to be talking about here. And it's a little something called Fanon. Now, what is Fanon, you might ask? Well, you're familiar with the term canon. Canon is something that is 100% established fact. It is in the source. It is so regardless. Canon is something that, frankly, regardless of what any, and I mean any, outside source says, it's 100% fact because it's in there. This is something that cannot be ignored. However, there's something on the flip side of that called Fanon. And what Fanon is stuff that sometimes is assumed, sometimes is pieced together based on tiny little clues that may or may not even be related. Or in some cases just downright choosing to see what you want to see and hear what you want to hear. That can create a whole strange perception in canon to the series. People think that things are fact when they're in fact not fact. To be fair, some Fanon is based entirely on dub mistakes. That's understandable. However, when you point this out, you would think that, they'd realize this and say, okay, well, clearly this isn't true. But instead, more often than not, they'll say, well, I like this better, so I'm going to keep on believing this. And it's sad. But one thing that we're going to talk about, definitely, is Fanon. Now, I'm going to admit this right off the bat. I write fan fiction. I do. Call me a geek, nerd, freak, whatever the frick you want. I really don't care. I write it because I like it. I write it because it gives me a creative outlet. I write it because, I have all these story ideas, some of which I know I can't really do anything with. And, frankly, using preset characters to a point, allows me to get rid of some of the stuff that otherwise would clutter up my head. I do have story ideas. I do write them down from time to time. I am going to possibly one day look at getting some of them published. Heck, I'm still doing that script outline even. But here's the deal. In my work with fanfiction, I'm quite experienced in the field of Fanon. I see it often. I see it in other people's stories. I used to believe some of it until I did a much closer study. In fact, me doing fan fiction, I became obsessed with a few things. Obsessed isn't always a bad term. See, for me, what happened was, I was going through fan fiction, okay, and I'm like, okay, well, this is good, but then I'd start reading things, and it's like, well, this isn't entirely accurate. This isn't that, but it was, here and there, no one's perfect. I figure, okay, it doesn't really alter the character too much or alter the plot too much. Like some people, Fanon example number one. A lot of people are under the misconception that in Dragon Ball Z, Krillin actually wished for 18 to be human, even though it's specifically said that he wasn't able to do that. So, they're still mostly, or at least partially, whatever, human anyway. So, it's something that, and it's stated right in there. But see, they don't understand this. They hear, he wished for her to be human, now she can have kids, therefore it worked. It's stuff like that. It's, if you're not paying close attention, it can happen. Or, if it's been a while, it can happen. So on and so forth. Whatever. One person said they used it as a medium simply because of the fact that they thought it made it somehow seem more romantic or whatever. There are various reasons for all this. But then I got into the really big stuff. And this is where fangirls come in, because they are more often than not the purveyors and guardians of Fanon. Now, Fanon can range from everything to Saiyan mating rituals, which include a biting on the neck and the sharing of memories and then thus a bond. I don't really throw too much of a fit over that, because I really don't see how it contradicts anything in the storyline at all. In fact, it does kind of explain why Vegeta would stick around with Bulma even though he didn't really seem to care about her that much. There was, some sort of subconscious bond. Doesn't mean it's true, but it is fun to work with, okay? It's fun to read about sometimes. It can work. It's workable within a realm of fiction that's not even canon anyway. Okay, but then there's stuff that's as extreme as alternate pairings based on the weirdest, and I mean weirdest. Now, see, some series you got plenty of room for alternate pairings. In fact, in a lot of series, it's almost outright encouraged. Dragon Ball Z is not such a series. There is pretty much no wiggle room for any alternate pairing. You got, like, two characters who had any kind of relationship before the one they finally wound up in, and one of those wasn't even a canon character, so, filler character. So, so on and so forth. But, I'm not going to get into that right now because that's possibly a topic for another day. I don't know if I'm really going to dig into it too much. But that's also for the fangirl topic. I'll tell you that much. I'll save it for that. There you go. But it's interesting because it happens on the fanboy side too, such as, and the fangirl side. But there's all kinds of Fanon. Let's see, a couple of well-known examples. A lot of it surrounds Vegeta, I'll tell you that much right now. Such as Vegeta, well, the most common one was Vegeta being a victim of Frieza. Now, granted, it's because of the dub line. And I know people are gonna throw a fit about screwed up dubs, whatever, blah blah blah, yada yada. Was in both English dubs that were out. It's fixed now in the new dub. I don't know why anyone would still complain about it, but it was there. That was what I thought was an understandable, piece of Fanon, because it's in there. It's a dub mistake, but, it was in the dub. And for a lot of people, that was all we had. We didn't start getting the DVDs with Japanese subtitles, for a while. Not all of us had the luxury of looking it up online or knew to look it up online. Plus, the quality could be kind of crappy because they were like fan subs and poorly subbed at that, or the video quality would, and the subtitle overlay on top of it would be in such, hard quality to read and see. So, it was an understandable thing, I thought. But then I saw how far they took it. There are actually people out there who think that Vegeta was victimized by Frieza to the point of being tortured, and even in some cases, yes, raped by Frieza. It's an ongoing attempt to push this concept of a victim to the point where, Vegeta somehow isn't even a bad guy anymore. He's a poor victimized little baby, whatever. Now, this is more fangirl logic. Fanboys still have run with it, too. It's actually what got Vegeta stereotyped as an emo character for a while, even though he's actually not. But, it was frankly disturbing, the level that they took it to. I mean, you got people writing these graphic descriptions of, and actually, here's the sad part, sometimes it gets to the point where they can't even distinguish it anymore. They think it really happened. It can be a frightening concept at times. Or like how clearly this person had this ability just because of them, this or that. Okay, here's an example. When it came to character strengths, okay, and this is another very popular piece of Fanon. Despite the fact that it's canonically written in the series, who the strongest human is, Tien in the Fanon community has been pushed to such extreme lengths that it's not even funny. They pretty much idolize the man like he's some sort of a god. He's got some very hardcore fanboys, and but I mean, like they actually push the idea that because Piccolo had a hole blown through his chest by Cell in his first form, and Tien was actually capable of holding down Cell in his second form, this somehow proves that Tien is actually was even stronger than Piccolo, stronger than the Super Saiyan, and one of the strongest characters in the entire show, if not the strongest character on the show at that time. Yeah, I kid you not. Now, what this is a combination of seeing that and taking it at face value, and also a lack of knowledge about what the Tri-Beam actually does. It's not a typical beam. It's not even something you can necessarily see. It's almost like a wall. Now, see, what you notice, it's something that, again, they kind of overdid in the dub, which is why I actually like looking at it in the manga, because what happens is, when you look at Cell, when it hits him, it's like, bam, and he's, grunting because of it, he's straining, but it's not pain. In fact, when it's done, when it stops slamming into him, he just gets right up, shakes it off like it didn't even hurt him. It wasn't hurting him. It wasn't causing him pain. It wasn't on the verge of beating him. And the only reason that this attack is what it is and is so powerful is because it literally takes up Tien's life to use. It's an obscenely powerful attack. Yeah, but I mean, for crying out loud, Goku and Tien fighting in that world tournament were pretty much dead even in terms of strength. And that, Tien even said, and Goku kind of knew it, that would have killed him if it had hit him. Because it's not a normal attack. And it's due to the gifts that are given him by that third eye. But, there's so much Fanon out there that is just, oh, wow. I swear to God, if I could tell you, I could tell you some stories. Another piece of Fanon is that Vegeta and Bulma were married and had a stable family during that 3-year waiting period for the androids. And this is completely ignorant of the fact that Trunks comes right out and says, quote, they never married. It's in every version of the show. It's in the edited English dub. It's in the uncut English dub. It is in the new dub. It is in the Japanese dub. It is in the manga. It is in every single version of the show. They weren't married. It was a one-time thing. And yet, I mean, there's even a fanfic with basically that came right out and said, I don't care what it says, I prefer it this way. It's kind of frightening. I mean, it's not even a case of what if, it's like, I'm going to deal with this like this is reality. Fanon, the point I'm trying to make here, though, is that Fanon can be fun, okay? when it's little stuff, when it's, debating back and forth about this or that, whether or not this is a possibility because of it can be fun. Just like versus battles when they're not taken to ridiculous lengths can be fun. When you don't wind up going, ooh, based on this version, it can be fun.